Michelle Phillips lived a double life for 30 years, and no one knew until now. I always thought her voice sounded peaceful, like nothing bad could ever touch it. But the truth? Her life was the exact opposite of the song she helped create. And once you see that contrast, it changes everything. Let me start with something that doesn't match the image at all. A little girl, 5 years old, watching her mother collapse and never wake up again. That was Michelle Phillips. And I didn't expect her story to begin like that. Because when you hear her later, singing about California, freedom, light, you don't imagine that kind of loss sitting underneath it. But it was always there. Now, here's where things start to split. Two lives, forming early. On one side, the image. Beautiful, effortless, the face of an era. On the other, instability, moving from place to place, never really settling. And I kept thinking, if you grow up without stability, you don't just search for love, you chase intensity. And that's exactly what she did. Now, jump forward. San Francisco, 1960. Music everywhere, freedom everywhere. And that's where she meets John Phillips. Older, already married, already with a family. And instead of stepping back, she walks straight into it, even tells his wife directly. In that moment, it tells you everything about who she was becoming. Fearless, or maybe just unafraid of consequences. They get married, move to New York, start building something, and eventually, the mamas and the papas. Now here's where the double life really begins. Because on stage, everything is perfect. California dreamin', harmonies that feel unreal, a sound that defines an entire generation. And she's right there, at the center of it. But behind that, control, tension, jealousy, relationships overlapping. And I didn't expect it to be that intense. Because we think of that era as free, but inside that band, it was anything but. Her marriage wasn't just love, it was power. He controlled the music, the direction, even her role within it. And at the same time, she was pushing back. Affairs, rebellion, trying to hold on to herself. And that's the second life, the one no one saw. Now here's the moment everything breaks. She's kicked out of the band, just like that. Not because she couldn't sing, but because of what was happening behind the scenes. And I remember thinking, imagine building something and then being removed from it like you never belonged. But then, she's brought back because they needed her. And that part, it's uncomfortable because it shows. She wasn't just a member, she was essential, but also replaceable when things got messy. And that contradiction, it stays with her. Now jump again. The band falls apart, marriage ends, and suddenly, she's alone. No group, no structure, no identity tied to something bigger. And I didn't expect her next move. She doesn't chase music. She walks away from it, becomes an actress, starts over, from zero. And honestly, that takes courage people don't talk about. Because starting over, when you've already been at the top, that's not easy. Now here's where her life gets even more unpredictable. Relationships. Dennis Hopper. That one lasted 8 days. And I mean that literally. 8. Because it turned chaotic fast. Unstable. Even dangerous. And I kept thinking, why step into something like that? But then you remember, if your life has always been intense, calm doesn't feel normal. Now later, more relationships? Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, different stories, same pattern, connection, then distance. And I noticed something. She wasn't looking for stability. She was moving through experiences, almost like she couldn't stay still long enough to build something steady. Now step into a quieter part of her life, her daughter, China Phillips. And this part feels different because now she's not just living for herself, but even then, life isn't stable, still moving, still changing. And I kept thinking, some patterns are hard to break, even when you want to. Now fast forward again. The years pass. The voices around her start disappearing. Cass Elliot, gone. John Phillips, gone. Others, gone. And suddenly, she's the one left. The last person who remembers everything. And that feels heavy, because now, she's not just living her life. She's carrying the memory of an entire era and deciding, what to say, what to keep, what to leave unsaid. Now at this stage, her life is quiet. No chaos, no headlines, just family, reflection, and control over her own story. And I think that's the part that stayed with me. Because this isn't just a story about fame, or music, or relationships. It's about duality. A woman who lived two lives at the same time, the dream and the reality behind it. And somehow, she survived both. Because in the end, Michelle Phillips wasn't just part of a beautiful era. She was also living through everything that era tried to hide. And maybe that's why her voice sounded the way it did. Because sometimes, the most beautiful songs come from people who've seen the darkest sides of life.